Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you may be. A very warm welcome to the latest edition of the Asian Golf Industry Federation's series of webinars, highlighting the work of AGIF member companies across the region. Today, we're delighted to be joined by Ed Edwards, Chief Operating Officer of Golf Saudi, an executive member of the AGIF. Since taking up his post less than 3 years ago, Ed has been at the forefront of Golf Saudi's implementation of the most comprehensive development program the world of golf has ever seen. As well as a remarkable array of events and mass participation initiatives aimed at establishing golf in the kingdom, he's also been closely involved in promoting sustainability and the creation of the world's first environmentally governed golf ecosystem. Before we delve a little deeper into those topics, Ed, you've recently completed back-to-back women's events. Tell us about those and the overall brief you were given when you moved into the COO position.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer. The ladies' events have just finished in King Abdullah Economic City. Both the Aramco Team Series, which was the latter event, and that was preceded by the Aramco Saudi Ladies International. This is the second year of running each. They were inaugural events last year, and the Aramco Team Series is a very interesting one. We had a spare week last year and created this new concept, which then morphed into 4 additional tournaments this year and a significant investment in the ladies' game. So, yeah, really successful events, good winners and great feedback. So now it's back in the office playing catch up on what we've missed over the last week. And as far as the remit is concerned, like you said, it's probably the most exciting job, especially for in this day and age for within our industry. We've got a whole nation that's going through a significant transformation, and golf has a great opportunity to be at the very forefront of that. So to have the opportunity to be involved in that really from its inception is yeah, it's very exciting.
Now, we all know Golf Saudi and you have succeeded in raising the profile of golf in the kingdom in the recent times. I was reading back that golf in Saudi, though, actually dates back to the 1960s, which surprised me a little bit. Can you give us a little history lesson about the game in the kingdom?
Yeah, that was on the old sand courses. So when oil was first discovered here, sand courses popped up, which was a mixture of sand fairways and then compacted oil and sand browns is what they called them. But that's really when golf started, initially through Aramco, and then latterly in the 80s, grass courses started popping up, and most recently the Royal Greens Golf and Country Club in Cake opened its doors about 4 years ago, which is what would be considered the first real championship venue.
Very impressive. And as of now, I believe in Saudi, you're home to 9 golf courses and somewhere between, I think you were saying 3,000 and 5,000 registered golfers, of which less than 200 are locals. So I guess the obvious question is, how are you building from that base and integrating the sport into modern Saudi culture?
And I think that really is the crux of our challenge here. We have not only the existing facilities, but also in excess of 20 new golf developments in various stages of planning, design, construction, feasibility. So we know that there's going to be a significant supply-demand gap. And one of our primary purposes and reasons for being is to make sure that we engage and enthuse a whole new population of golfers within Saudi Arabia. And one of our key pillars and deliverables is to create a successful mass participation program, which tries to address that very point. Look, we're very fortunate here. We have a lot of stakeholder and governmental support through various ministries and through our chairman, His Excellency Yasser Al-Rumayyan, and our CEO, Majid Al-Saror, who are both very passionate golfers and very successful businessmen. So they've been really the driving force behind what Gulf Saudi is trying to do in integrating and weaving golf into fabric society, into the fabric of Saudi society. And that from a mass participation standpoint looks at every single demographic, from school kids, where we've managed through our relationship with the Ministry of Education to embed golf as part of the school's curriculum. So we've already got in excess of 20,000 children signed up to learn golf, and it's an organic program where Gulf Saudi will teach the PE teachers basic skills, will provide the educational programs, will provide all the equipment for use, and will provide clothing and caps. And so it's a program that is then self-sustaining. We will stay in support as the children go through to the following levels, but the sharing of skills to make sure that over time there are multiple golf coaches within the country that can help implement our schools program. So that just in our 5-year forecast, that looks at in excess of 300,000 children that will be learning the game of golf. And then we really look at that. How does that mass participation then morph into high footfall areas, whether that's shopping malls or at events, at football matches, or at tournaments like the ones we've just had in Jeddah, where we can have pop-up activations, either simulators or even a golf truck that we're designing at the moment, which is our mobile tour truck style vehicle that can go to a football match and pop up, and the simulators and putting activations, but really a resource to try and raise awareness amongst the population. And then our infrastructure plays an important part. We know that there's a number of really high-end 5-star golf courses that are coming to the market. However, where's that introduction to golf? And that's really one of Gulf Saudi's fundamental roles, is to create, whether it's urban golf environments, entertainment ranges that are hugely popular around the world, that can attract 300,000 to 500,000 people a year into those facilities, or simulator cafe type facilities that are hugely popular in countries like South Korea, which we've benchmarked. And then that journey continues from schools to the urban environment into facilities, green grass facilities. We're all, where we're from, you can have that affordable, accessible golf experience where you go to your local municipal course or your par 3 course, and access green grass golf for the first time. So we have quite a comprehensive development program to make sure we create those accessible facilities throughout the country, and tailor to that as well our golf academies, so that the instruction can be supported with the facility itself. And then finally on to the more acclaimed and renowned 5-star facilities that are more prevalent in the region. So we've tried to create that ecosystem where we embed our mass participation strategy alongside our infrastructure strategy, so that the two support each other.
That's fabulous to hear of the plans and the infrastructure that obviously need to be set up to develop such a program. Just briefly following on the mass participation initiatives, I know in the last week, 10 days, you announced about a National Golf Week that you're going to be introducing, I think, in 2022. And I was also intrigued to read about this Ladies First Club that you inaugurated, I think, over a year ago, and enjoyed a very good response, I think.
Yeah, the Ladies First Club was an initiative that we released around last year's ladies events, where we provided 1,000 free memberships that provided access to instruction, equipment, golf course access, and we provided coaches to be able to deliver that instruction, and partnered with both Gulf Saudi golf courses and others to provide the facilities to accommodate. That was oversubscribed within 48 hours of launch. So there's a huge hunger and interest to get involved. And like I said previously, golf has this amazing opportunity really to capture that interest and be at the very forefront of it. So initiatives like that tend to be hugely popular, and a great way of introducing a segment that doesn't have a great penetration rate within Saudi Arabia into the game of golf. National Golf Week is something that was launched last week, and that will see, again, it's like a national golf festival. How can Golf Saudi support all clubs to address those two issues of accessibility and affordability? So a variety of tournaments and clinics and lessons, and again, giving the maximum amounts of people access to the game of golf.
And no, that's fabulous. And obviously, while you look at the grassroots and getting more people in, obviously nurturing talent and developing a competitive national team to compete in the major amateur events that go on around the region, that's another cornerstone of your strategy. What specifically is being done, I guess, to identify kids who have the potential to maybe go on and really become good golfers and to fly the flag for Saudi in these events?
Look, at the moment, we've got some amazing talent within our national team, and that's supported both by the Saudi Golf Federation and by Golf Saudi through affiliations with either international coaching facilities where we can run camps, but also, for example, our affiliation now with the Asian Tour allows for new playing opportunities for that talent. We had a couple of our members spend a few months over the summer playing a variety of ranking events in the UK to get experience of links golf and what we all know is quite challenging conditions that potentially aren't experienced here in the Middle East. All very different conditions anyway. It's nothing like a 40-mile-an-hour driving horizontal wind to challenge your golf game. But at the moment, we have a very linear structure where we have some talent within the team, but we at the bottom where the new potential heroes of the future and national team members, it's a very limited supply. So through our mass participation program, that's really what's going to uncover and discover new talent that will become the future of the national team in 5 and 10 years' time. And through that journey of our mass participation program, our schools programs, it's all about identifying talent as much as it is about enthusing people to get involved in the game of golf.
And providing them with a pathway, as you say, to experience different conditions, and then hopefully to go on and turn pro and play on the Asian Tour and play in these big events and eventually get through to the majors.
Yeah, and probably equally as important, turn into someone like me who's a failed pro, but has carved an amazing journey in the industry. And that's one of our key objectives, as well as how do you create the jobs so that we make people aware of the game of golf, and not just the participation, but the career opportunities that open up through the game of golf.
Absolutely. And in fact, I mean, I have got down here to ask you about this social agenda that you're looking at and the focus that you have on the education and employment opportunities. I guess whether that be in club management, whether it be in greenkeeping, or the many other facets. Tell us a little bit about what your hopes and expectations and how you're going to implement those plans.
So we know that with in the next 10 years, there's going to be thousands of jobs that need to be filled. And our goal is to make sure that they're filled with Saudi national talent. And where we stand today, how do we forward look? What are those educational pathways? What are those certifications that will be required? We know which jobs are coming. So it's very much our responsibility to ensure that that educational pathway is created so that they can be filled with certified Saudi nationals. We've have an affiliation with the Club Managers Association of Europe, who have a very well recognized existing educational pathway that takes golf supervisory level associates up into their CCM, the Certified Club Management Diploma. And that, although, and I've gone through that program, and it's an incredible program. However, the relevance of that program for us today, we don't have Saudi nationals that are at that level and experienced in golf club operations to undertake that existing educational structure. So we've worked closely with CMAE over the last year and a bit to create the bottom of the pyramid, to create that educational pathway that aligns and taps into their existing educational platform. And we start very much as an introduction to golf. That all of our Golf Saudi colleagues will be going through that program, which gives an overview of what is golf, what's the industry, the history, the clubs, the rules. And that is a certified course now through CMAE that we will roll out free of charge throughout the country. It provides people with a certification, but equally important, it provides people with a knowledge of what golf is. And we're creating this awareness. Well, let's back that up with some real hard intel. And then that moves to the next stage once people have completed that to golf club operations, giving an overview of the different departments of the golf club, how a club functions. Then move up to supervisory level. So we now start looking at a bit more of leadership skills and management skills. And then we move up into a program of internships. So the people that are enthused and engaged to carry on that program now have the opportunity to work at a club. And then finally, a course which we've named Pre-MDP, which prepares people for the MDP program. So now they've had a full introduction to the game, understanding how a golf club works, worked at a golf club, and they're now qualified to fit into the existing system. So we've created that holistic opportunity from I've never heard about golf into becoming a certified club manager. And that to us was the essential component that was missing to allow us to start to move towards that the filling of jobs. Now that's only one specific area, and we've discussed previously utilizing the resources that you have to look at how could we create that same pathway for agronomy, for greenkeepers. We then look at the PGA professionals. Where does that pathway sit? So it's really our responsibility throughout that social agenda and our educational program to create all these different pathways to fill the jobs that we know that are coming in the future.
And as you say, I know you've had discussions with the AGIF specifically on the certificate in greenkeeping program that we do in partnership with the RNA, and really designed to educate and help greenkeepers coming into the game who previously have had to go to the US if they want to do any of these studies, and now they're able to stay in their home countries and in this region to actually get that done.
Yeah, and those sort of educational opportunities are going to be hugely beneficial to us as a federation, all of us to take part in that. and see how we can develop that and grow it. But also from our perspective, what we're developing, and I think it's an important point throughout our whole strategy, what we're developing here in Saudi Arabia has context and benefit to all of your members, and we're happy to share it. There are a lot of members of yours that are working in new Gulf destinations that will see a lot of relevance in what we're doing here. And that knowledge share, I think, is one of the big advantages of the collective that you've created.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. One of our members, as you know, is Atlas Turf International. And recently, I think you guys announced a new joint venture between Gulf Saudi and Atlas Turf, with plans to develop the region's first internationally licensed golf and sports turf farm in Saudi Arabia. Again, another wonderful initiative.
And no longer a plan, it's growing. So yeah, again, it was looking forward looking at what the requirements were, and our really our drive for sustainability, and knowing that there were going to be multiple projects in the future from both Gulf Saudi's perspective, what we're going to build, plus knowing the national ecosystem and development program, and identifying the requirement to service and supply grass, and that also goes beyond grass and actually beyond Saudi Arabia, because the turf farm will service a territory that includes the GCC. However, looking at those drought tolerant and salt tolerant species, how can we grow them in Saudi Arabia and furnish the future golf clubs, so that each golf club, from a sustainability perspective, each golf club isn't flying in their own sprigs, growing in their own nurseries, and using natural resource that isn't required. So we set up with our partners, Atlas Turf International, a turf farm that is now growing and is servicing and supplying several of the new projects that are coming along. Over and above that, though, it gives us the opportunity to tick more jobs. There's career opportunities there in soil science, in research, and research will form quite an important component of that turf farm. You know, we're using platinum TE at the moment, paspalum, because that's the most common grass in the region. We're also looking at Bermuda species and zoysia species and other warm season grasses. But you know, how can we utilize a certain section of that turf farm to conduct research and development within the sustainability sphere to make sure that we're continuing with best practice and staying on top of the latest innovation.
Great. We'll come on to sustainability in a moment, and I want to ask you a little bit about the Vision 2030 and what that entails. Just one thing I want to go back to, you mentioned before about making golf affordable and accessible. Again, I was interested to read about I think the Dirab Golf and Country Club and all the involvement that Gulf Saudi has with that. Can you just explain a little bit how that golf club works, and is that where people are able to access whether it's the practice facilities or the golf course at very reasonable rates?
Yeah, we took over operations at two different facilities, Riyadh Golf Club and Dirab Golf and Country Club. So Gulf Saudi now operate both of those two facilities. It allows us to have venues to drive our mass participation clinics. So we discussed previously about having clinics and mobile activations in high footfall areas, where we now have two green grass facilities that allow us to bring people to the golf course. So it's a major component of our overall strategy, and that link between urban or corporate golf and green grass golf, and both have driving ranges and 18 holes of golf. So it's an important link, not only from having the ability to have internship opportunities as part of our educational program, but also green grass access as part of our mass participation program. So we have full operational management of both, which allows us that flexibility.
Yeah, phenomenal. Now, you've mentioned that environmental sustainability is fundamental to Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. How did this lead to the creation of the world's first environmentally governed Gulf ecosystem? And maybe just a little bit of background, Ed, on this Vision 2030.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I refer to COVID in many ways being quite a good thing for us, because it gave us the chance to stop sprinting for a second and have a look at what we'd achieved. And we're massively proud of where we'd got to. We had some very clear pillars as to our objectives, our deliverables, and we'd had some great success among some of the things we discussed. But we felt we were lacking a common thread, a real why for the company. And that it became pretty apparent that why was sustainability, because sustainability not only fit in with the Vision 2030 and some of those key elements that the nation is trying to achieve, whether it's employment or healthcare or improvement of people's lives, but also allowed us to tie in all the projects that are under construction with a common theme. And sustainability isn't just environmental. Our national sustainability strategy really looks at three key pillars: the environment, social sustainability, and then finally economic. Because it's great to have a stringent social plan and an environmental plan, but if you can't make economic sense, then the longevity will be at risk. So we really developed three different agendas: environmental, social, and economic, and that's very closely tied to Vision 2030. And more latterly, when His Royal Highness the Crown Prince announced that Saudi Arabia would be net zero by 2060, when we go back and have a look at our sustainability strategy, it really shows how Gulf can be a key contributor to that vision and to what the country is trying to do. So our sustainability strategy for us really became that guiding light and helped us focus on decision making. And when we Atlas Turf Farm that you mentioned previously, when you tie that into our sustainability remit, well, for the environment, it's positive because of what we discussed. All the projects don't have to fly in their own turf and water and irrigate their own nurseries. From a social perspective, it creates jobs. And then from an economic perspective, it makes sense, not only for the projects because it's cheaper for them, but also for Gulf Saudi because it's a commercial operation. So when you get to the decision-making process, if you consider the three key cogs of our sustainability strategy and you can tick each box, then your decision-making process becomes slightly more tailored.
And among the many pioneering undertakings, I know that Gulf Saudi has signed up to a UN initiative for sporting organizations aimed at achieving ambitious global climate change goals. How did that come about? And I guess you're one of the first Gulf organizations in the world to really get involved with that.
Yeah, it came about, again, by implementing the national sustainability strategy, having unity and alignment with all the projects within Saudi Arabia. So now as a nation, we were all following a similar direction, which allowed us to reach out to the UN Sport for Climate framework, really to become part of a larger organization and selfishly to tap into resource that would help us further develop our sustainability initiatives and strategies. And when you look at the partners that are within that UN organization and the experts in the field, all with a common goal and the learnings that they're having within their own initiatives and organizations, to be able to be part of that, really to try and drive best practice in Saudi Arabia is a huge benefit. And then latterly, we're now looking at the UN Global Compact to sign up. Again, another UN organization that puts sustainability very much at the forefront, and another avenue to collate additional information and resource, again, for the benefit of Saudi Arabia.
And are there other long-term ideas or goals you can talk about that you're doing to encourage wider engagement in terms of tackling environmental issues and facing up to the threat posed by climate change?
Well, through our national sustainability strategy, we have a green agenda, and that green agenda looks at how you develop the most economically sustainable golf courses, and it looks at certain environmental ecosystem services like biodiversity, desertification, and some key critical areas like water usage. Now that document has been created with our partners GEO and STRI over many months. And with all that intel that's been done, we've provided that free of charge to every golf project within Saudi Arabia that is developing a golf course, because ultimately the net benefit for the nation far outweighs anything that we would do as a single entity within Gulf Saudi for our own projects. So I think the net gain will be seen in the long term because of those decisions that are made now through initiatives like our green agenda, and that creation of a sustainable golf ecosystem. We have the great opportunity in Saudi Arabia because we're not trying to retrofit a lot of existing products and projects. We have virtually a blank piece of paper that, if we all collectively drive in the same direction, the net gains are massive in the years to come.
Good. Just changing tack slightly, as the international tourism proposition evolves in Saudi Arabia, does inbound golf tourism feature on your agenda at all?
Yeah, massively. It's one of our pillars. We're probably in the early stages at the moment. So as we're doing with the Saudi population at the moment, making the masses aware of the game of golf, our job is very much to build the infrastructure for the future tourism, and making the world aware of what is coming. And you have some of the most incredible projects in the most beautiful landscape. And that's what people don't realize, the diversity of the country, from the rainforest type scenery to the arid deserts to the gorgeous Red Sea. The incredible different topography of Saudi Arabia and ecosystems, that once these projects see the light of day, the world will start to realize, and we need to be ready to ensure that tourism is driven to the country. So yeah, it's definitely a key pillar for us, although at the moment it's quite early stages in infrastructure development and partnership development with key tour operators for the future supply that's coming.
And one of the ways, obviously, to increase awareness is staging big tournaments, getting people in there, getting the television coverage and exposure from that. You know, you've mentioned a little bit about the women's tournaments you've just had. Can you maybe whet our appetite a little bit about what you've got on the calendar coming up for 2022? No, not just professional, but amateur and any other undertakings.
Yeah, so we have the Saudi International, which will be in February next year, and that looks to be even further enhanced on the event last year. We'll be announcing the players shortly. We're working with the Asian Tour on this event, and ramping up to make sure that this is the best ever. This will be the fourth staging of this particular event, and each one has grown year to year, and we certainly intend to make this one the best yet. I think it's an important point as well. We spoke about how we utilize these events for a national audience and engage a whole new audience into the game of golf by utilizing our tournaments, by bringing the best players in the world here. But like you referenced there, it's a great opportunity to showcase Saudi Arabia to an international market. So our Saudi international and our ladies events are very much positioned to do just that.
Well, it sounds like you've got some hugely exciting plans going forward, and we very much look forward to seeing them evolve. I guess to finish off, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Maybe look into your crystal ball. And what would you say your hopes and expectations for Gulf Saudi and for the development generally of all these aspects that you've spoken about in the next 10 years? Where in a decade from now will Gulf in Saudi Arabia be?
I'll be fired, and that's the goal, and that's the goal. And I always, this is one of my most common phrases, but I genuinely mean it, because we should have Saudi national PGA golf professionals. We should have Saudi national qualified superintendents. The whole ethos of what we're trying to do is to create that sustainable ecosystem. So in 10 years' time, we should have Saudi industry professionals leading the golf industry in Saudi Arabia. That would mean success to us, over and above having golfers that we've created and facilities that are affordable and accessible, and awareness amongst the game of golf. This whole project is really for the Saudi people, and we need to make sure that in each one of our facets, each one of our pillars that we're trying to deliver, that comes through very clearly. So what does success look like in 10 years' time? To have a vibrant golf industry in the country that's led, played, and enjoyed by Saudi nationals.
Well, we wish you every success with that. I know the AGIF will be hosting further webinars on the topic of sustainability in particular in the coming months, and we very much look forward to welcoming you back to participate and to keep us posted on all of these exciting initiatives that you and Gulf Saudi are working on. But for now, many thanks for joining us, Ed, and see you soon.
Thank you.